Welcome to Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan. Samantha, our producer, is here. Hello, Sam.
Hello.
A couple of things. Hurricane Party is this Saturday. If you want to get your tickets, get them at drinkatwestend.com.
Yes, sir. The Suicide Machines, who haven't been on tour, guys. You don't get to see them in very many places. Yeah, you can go see them the night before on Friday. You can see Eugene Snowden.
Yeah, free.
Free.
The Calm Before the Storm, that's on Friday.
I don't know why Eugene Snowden
Yeah.
only plays free shows, but hey, he loves sharing the music with you guys, so jump on it.
And if you like punk rock and ska, I mean, there are multiple stages, bands going on all day.
Yep. Our friends of Supervillains are always there, so yeah, go down there and enjoy yourself some hurricane goodness.
Also, there's still time to check out some Fringe shows. Fringe ends on the 29th.
Yep.
And they have kind of a closing ceremonies party. I know they got bands and music.
Yeah, this is the largest
Bloody Jug
Fringe
Band.
festival in the world, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
think
one
I'm
of the
wrong on
biggest.
it. I think it is the biggest. I don't think it's the oldest, but I think it's the biggest. And yeah, go down there and be a part of something truly unique with the most unique entertainers you will ever find. Speaking of unique entertainers, on the line with us right now, and we did his podcast first, did we not?
Yeah, I think they...
How did we meet Fritz?
With the Media Path podcast, we did their podcast first, yes, and then they did ours, and then, we've been,
It's a
co-mingling.
cooperative arrangement.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So Fritz Coleman is on Zoom with us. What's going on, Fritz?
I'm happy to be back with you guys. How you doing? You're rocking and rolling and sounding great.
Yeah, we got
Thanks.
lots going on. I was, and we're going to talk about, you have a brand new comedy special that, is it brand new? Yeah, it's brand new. When'd you release it?
It's about 3 weeks old. It dropped about 3 weeks ago on Tubi.
Awesome.
We're very excited.
Congratulations. Samantha and I spend a lot of time on Tubi because it surprises you with some of the best things that you've forgotten in entertainment that will be there.
Mhm.
And then new stuff like what Fritz is doing will pop up there, and it's all free.
Yeah, it's what they call AVOD. It's advertiser-supported video on demand,
Yeah.
like Hulu and Peacock. And I think that's the way things are going. People are tired of spending $7,000 a month on streaming apps, and so they're going with the freebies, and it's working out pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it also...
Plus, it's a way to distribute your content without going through the channels of trying to sell it to one of these streaming services and then it never
Right.
gets seen. Or I've seen things where streaming services will buy comedy specials and then not air them
They
for
sit
whatever
on
reason.
them.
Yeah.
That's
I'll
weird.
give you an example, and I'm a big fan of Netflix, but Netflix, and you guys know about Just for Laughs comedy special in Montreal. They went up there last year and taped 40 specials in that 1-2 week period or whatever it is. And they just stockpile them and they roll these things out in perpetuity. And so, okay, maybe your special is going to air in January of 2025, maybe not till January 2038 by the time they roll all these out.
Right,
Now,
right.
Yeah.
it's there seems to be a lot of content on the other ones. And listen, at my age, I'm just happy to be streaming anywhere. I'm really happy.
Yeah, well, I mean, but yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. So, you were an LA weatherman, because a lot of our guys, this is going to be their first introduction to you. So how did you, let's briefly give a little bit of history of your career in entertainment. Were you always known as the comedic LA weatherman?
Well, I was after I started, oddly enough, and real weather guys, real meteorologists, real atmospheric science people hate this story. But it's true.
Yeah.
I was working at the Comedy Store on Sunset Boulevard in 1982.
Wow.
And my friend who worked at NBC, was an anchor person, brought his boss, the news director, and his wife down to see my show. And I talked on stage about having worked for Armed Forces Radio and Television when I was in the Navy.
Yeah.
And being forced to do the weather against my will and not knowing anything about it. So that was my little 3-minute story on stage.
Yeah.
And then after the show, this boss, this news director, came up and introduced himself. He said, "Listen, that was fantastic. I have a proposition for you. I don't know if you're interested. Would you have any interest in coming to work at Channel 4 as a weekend weather forecaster? I need a guy to fill in for vacations and stuff." And I was making $35 a night at the Comedy Store. I said, "When do you want me to start?
Yeah.
And can I carry your wife to the car? I'll do anything."
Right.
So I had to audition. And before I took the job, I said, "You know that I don't know anything about weather. I made that perfectly clear on stage. He said, that's no problem because there's no weather in California. This will work out great.
Sure.
So then I just continued to get, mild bump ups in stature. And I retired 2 years ago, about 2 weeks shy of my 40th anniversary. So I've just had nothing but a series of great jobs. So all that to say, I started my career as a weatherman, as a comic. People think, you're a weatherman and people know who you are, so you'll do a vanity project and decide you're going to be a stand-up comic. I was a stand-up comic long before I was a weatherman.
So that's awesome.
Fritz,
so you had already been around the store. You had already navigated that. I mean, here you are in 82, and you got this weather break. But most people go to the Comedy Store and kind of navigate that, be a door guy like our friend Carmen Morales and these people that go there.
Yeah.
That's the way you get into the business.
You're 1,000% right.
Yeah.
And, I already had 2 children. And so I had this moral dilemma that I had to make. Did I want to sell out, take like for all intents and purposes, a corporate job and go off the road as a comic? Still being able to perform, even when I was doing the weather at 11 o'clock at night, I was doing 2 or 3 sets a week at the Improv Comedy Store. But I had 2 children. I was a middle act. I was a feature act. So you make $600 to go on the road and do 6 nights, probably come home with $100 in your pocket after you pay for your own transportation. I had to think of my children's stability and their life. So I said, I took the job, and it was not a mistake. It afforded me great opportunities. And again, I continued my stand-up career and got great jobs out of it, and it was fun.
It probably makes people crazy, just like you said, about being a weather person in one of the 2 biggest, like you say, New York or LA.
Yeah.
Right.
And just sort of, I don't want to say gifted, because you obviously had to do something for this guy to notice you and then give you that opportunity. But you were sort of like, here you go. Here's this neat thing that you can you're going to dangle it. You may not know what it is. And you took it. That's exciting.
Yeah, well, you know what? I speak to college classes, as you guys do, and people want to know what's the secret. I said, I have no secret. I am the beneficiary of maybe the greatest luck in show business since that woman was discovered at Schwab's Pharmacy on Sunset Boulevard. But I said that the only thing I was not afraid to do was to try something that I hadn't thought about doing. But I just thought I would try it. And even if I failed, I hadn't failed because I tried it. And it afforded me a great career.
Sure.
So all I had was the guts to try something I hadn't planned on, like walking down this dark tunnel. Yeah. And it turned out to be fantastic. So
yeah, but a 40-year career isn't luck, Fritz. That's someone who navigated. I mean, it's still the entertainment industry. It's still cutthroat. I mean,
maybe it comes back to what you and I always say. He's just a nice person, and that goes a very long way.
The news.
Oh no, I agree with that too. I tell interns and stuff that 50% of the success in your career will be gets along with others. If you can do that, even if you're not particularly good at your job, if you're a pleasant person to hang out with at work, you're golden.
100%.
Let's talk about that, Fritz.
You can also hang around a lot longer than you need to if you're very pleasant.
I'm a witness to that.
We've had some pleasant people around here that, like, one day we look around, we're like, man, they don't do anything, but damn, are they pleasant.
It is a valuable piece of information to teach youth nowadays.
Your sons have it; they're fine they're good for life with pleasantries. Those kids are the sweetest. His boys. We were just talking about it today, Fritz. His sons naturally. They can blend into a room. You'd never know they're there. They're so polite.
Yeah, but so they already got that because that's ingrained in them. Now I'm trying to push, like, you have to tell people what you want. You have to
assertive.
You have not.
No, that's absolutely true.
Don't get walked on. Yeah.
And you can, and also I learned this in the television business. If you don't push your issues, if you don't try to move yourself forward or up, people will get stuck in their perception of you at one level. And sometimes I tell kids, you're never going to work you're an intern now, you're tearing copy for anchor people. You're never going to be an on-air person. You have to go out to go up, because these people will perceive you how they've perceived you from the minute you walked in the door. It's impossible to get people to change their minds. So you're right. You have to push the issue. And It's hard for kids.
Hey, Fritz, that happened. I don't know. It seems to have happened to me when I worked in radio. You started off as an intern wearing a bear suit. No higher ups ever are going to take you seriously ever, because they will always be like, "Oh, you're just the idiot that did the stupid stunts."
I think it happened to me too. I tucked in as a producer, and they were like, "Yeah, he's just a producer.
Forever.
He will stay there forever."
Yeah.
Fritz is
100%.
right. You're kind of rattling my bones a little bit.
We had to
Fritz.
leave.
Ugh.
Yeah. And honestly, and sometimes you do have to leave to be able to be taken seriously for anybody to ever have you back. And it's all right time, right place, and it's different for everybody. But there is something to be said about, be nice, be a good person to hang out with, because that will keep you around. But it'll keep you around too long in the same position if you are too nice and too easy going.
1,000%. And also, the only thing that's really good for being the good person is it will allow you to be pleasant to work with long enough for you to get good. Then you have to bring it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway.
And now let's jump back to the special just real fast.
Yeah.
Had you done a special before? Was this no, wait a minute. I think I saw a special that you did before on YouTube. I did. And it was it was you in a really nice sweater. Am I correct on that?
That's my hook. Really nice sweater.
Have you seen it? Nobody.
No.
I
What
think it
year
was in the
was it?
90s.
No, I sort of started this this little hook for myself years ago in my stand-up, which is what I call a single topic monologue. The first one I did, the one you saw, was called "It's Me, Dad," where I'm talking about being a divorced father, and being, a recovered alcoholic and all those kinds of things. And that one was so effective that public television in Los Angeles bought it and aired it on Father's Day 7 years in a row.
What?
So I found this little hook. The next one I did was called The Reception. It was about divorce. So it's me for 90 minutes just talking, doing some humor, but some just commentary about divorce. Then I did one called Tonight at 11, which was about the news business. And then this one is called Unassisted Living, which is about the blessings of getting old.
That's cool, man.
So, Fritz, let's talk about this current special. Again, you can find it on Tubi.
Yep.
What's the easiest way for people to find it, Fritz?
You just go on, Tubi's free. You just go on, type my name into the search window, and it will pop up immediately.
Yeah, you can just stop at Fritz. It's there.
So let's talk about the venue you chose, because I'm curious in how you did you handpick the audience? Because there's only 80 people in the audience, correct?
Well, here's why I did that. I mean, everybody would love to have, Madison Square Garden full of people to hear this thunderous applause and everything, but I watched the TV show Hacks, which I'm a big fan of. I'm not a big fan of stand-up shows generally, but it was really good. And they did one show where she was in sort of a cabaret setting, where it was a small audience with the cocktail tables in front, as opposed to the big, like, Vegas-sized houses she was in.
Yeah.
And they shot that at a theater I'm very familiar with, the El Portal Theater in North Hollywood. They have a little equity waiver 99-seat venue adjacent to their big theater. And I said, man, that's a way to shoot it. It's more intimate. You don't have to yell and scream. And it's not about big thunderous waves of laughter. It's just about being intimate with your audience, which I'm comfortable with. So it was 80 seats. And we take two shows in this small venue called the Marilyn Monroe Forum. It's just a small waiver house there. And I tried to light it and produce it and shoot it the way they shot that Hacks episode, which I just loved. It was really, it was beautifully photographed, and it was just a cool venue. Well, and that's why we chose it.
You brought all the right stuff. Like, as soon as it opens, I even told Samantha, I was like, look at his graphics look great. Your backdrop looked great. It was good, man. Like, really well done. I'll finish it after our interview.
Fritz, how do you curate the audience, though? I'm curious because, like, you're filming the special. Was it done over multiple nights, or is it just I
did two shows in a row in one afternoon. It's about 65 minutes long each show, and then we edited out stuff that just tanked.
Yeah. Right. Well, is it the audience? Is it just you put it out there? I mean, obviously you've been in the entertainment.
I like to get my friends in there, but we also put it out to the subscribers of this theater.
Okay.
And and people that knew me around town. I mean, I'm not a huge Dave Chappelle sized draw, so I had to appeal to friends and people I thought that react. And this show appeals to a certain demographic. My age, as I say, old people and their parents. That's my audience.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that a little bit. I think it's really cool that you're comfortable with your audience. You actually say something in your bio here that we have that kind of goes along the lines of, like, that your audience doesn't necessarily want to be, quote, assaulted by comedy. And I like that.
You guys will understand this because you're in the business. I think one of the really underserved demographics in stand-up is boomers and older. Because my age, although I love Chappelle and Chris Rock, I think they're the most brilliant guys working. Now, there are a lot of people my age and slightly older.
I was going to say, they're not.
It's like they are considered to the young generation. It's funny because now we're looking at 3 different generations.
Some people look at them as boomers.
The 20-year-olds are looking at Chappelle and Chris Rock like, oh, these are old men. It's crazy for it. Because I'm like, what?
So that even makes my point even worse. But the point is, the sales pitch we used to go to Tubi was, I think my demographic, boomers and older, are underserved in stand-up and underserved in entertainment in general. So I work relatively clean, and I don't do really raw material. And my fans, I just know it from how my fans react, tend to react positively to that.
Sure.
So we've given them something that's an alternative to the typical stand-ups on Tubi, and that seemed to resonate with them. So they took it.
Fritz, it's interesting, and it goes into a more broader conversation about how we never give any slack to different generations and how they think and how they grew up or what their mentality is. It's like whatever the current most popular mentality is, we're like, everybody adapt to that.
Yeah. Or you're wrong.
Or you're wrong. It's like, hold on.
Die.
Hold on. There are people that grew up in a different world. Their whole personality was framed in a completely different world than yours. So you got to give them some slack on the way they think, or at least give them some time.
Bring them up to speed.
Yeah. And then it's like, why can't there be like, yes, those people are not going to relate to people that are 30 years younger than them because they grew up in a different world.
That's exactly my point. And the other part of that is, nobody knows they're going to grow. Nobody feels like they're going to grow old. So even if people watch this, they'll be amused by it because it's a cautionary tale. Maybe you're not experiencing these exact syndromes right now, but hang on. If somebody doesn't take you off the planet, you're going to experience the same thing too.
So Fritz, let's talk about that. And because I feel like everybody, when you're young, and I've analyzed this because when I'm young, I never thought I'd be here, right? At the age of 41, right? And in my 20s, I was
never had a concept.
I was like, 41, that's never going to happen. And of course, it just, luckily, and I will say, luckily, sometimes it doesn't happen to everybody, but sometimes, for the most part, you always are going to get to the place that you thought was never going to get there, right? It's like,
I'd like to think so.
And then so now at the age of 41, I'm looking at the 70s like, well, I got to fit it all in now because by the time I'm 70, it's going to be over. Because I'm looking,
right.
You know what I'm saying? But I think it's just a natural human mentality.
Oh, no, it is. It absolutely is. And then you find yourself at an age you never thought you'd be at. And that's what my show is about. It's about those common experiences, 60 plus when the hubcaps start coming off, and it's sort of a common experience.
So Fritz, how do you do it where you still feel like you just put out a comedy special, you're still doing stuff?
I like that you describe yourself as youngish 70. I like that.
It's
realistic, but you're still young. You have young in the title.
It's attitude.
Yeah.
Do you keep up, Fritz, with like all current events and like young pop culture to try to like understand it, or how does that work with you?
Well, we keep an eye on it for the podcast because our podcast is called Media Path. So we read a lot, we absorb a lot of news content and absorb a lot of the recent releases on streaming and cable and all the new things in books and movies and television shows, just to stay current so we can converse about it on the podcast. And I'm kind of a news junkie anyway, although I don't do political humor in the special. For 2 reasons. First of all, the shelf life of political jokes is really short, and it takes too much labor to keep generating
now.
it.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to do better than Maher and Colbert and all these guys. And plus, I just feel like the current social and political climate we're in, it's so dark. People just want to be taken out of their heads for an hour.
We say that every day.
Yeah. They don't want to hear it.
And they just want to be, and you guys do that with your, your live appearances and your great attitude about stuff. I mean, people don't remind me about how screwed up stuff is. The rest of the world's going to do that for me the rest of the day. But so anyway, that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
I don't like to tax people's patience.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like when you say, well, because I do the same thing, and where doing the show is what keeps me like informed about what the hell is going on, because I think if I didn't do the show, I'd just fall into only like watching the sports that I like in my own bubble, and I'd have no clue.
I would only be pee-pee dogs and scooters all the time. I would only be looking at puppies all the time and motorcycles.
But I think that's what happens to people. You get in your own little bubble, then all of a sudden you poke your head out and you're like, what the hell is going on? People go crazy.
That's a really interesting point. So I, like, once a semester get invited to go just sit in a class of broadcast management class at Cal State University Northridge, and I'm there to answer questions. And the professor in this class had such a great take on just what you're talking about, because of the internet, and because now media is a buyer's market, not a seller's market. When I was growing up, there were only 3 television channels. They had Walter Cronkite, Huntley Brinkley, and there was one guy, and he gave you all your information and you absorbed it.
Yeah.
Now it's a buyer's market where, no, I'm not listening to the guy on channel 6 or whatever it is. I'm going to go on the internet and listen to whatever I want. Yeah. So he called it vertical learning. So if you're interested in like motorcycles or skateboarding, and that occupies all your time, you know everything about motorcycles, you know nothing about the rest of the world because you don't put any time into learning about it. So the problem with that is, it's great that you get to pay attention to your own passions, except that it makes for a bad voting public because you don't know what the hell's going on. Because if you're not interested in what's going on outside your little narrow interest, you're screwed. Yeah. So it's a really interesting time right now, thanks to social media.
And it's hard to be disciplined enough to expose yourself to stuff you're not interested in. Because let's talk about
hard.
Because Fritz, you bring up a good point. Like, I remember I always liked talk radio. And when I was growing up, like in the late 90s and early 2000s, there was like one talk radio station. And then when there wasn't, like when it was the weekend, I had to listen to like the Magic Mechanic and like people talking about subjects like
click and clack.
The stuff that I didn't even care. I didn't even care about, but it was talk, and I like talk more because it helped pass the time.
You also like to think. You're a thinker. Like you overthink constantly. So talk radio is just audible thinking.
That's kind of like what I'm like. I love to learn stuff. That's why I'm a news junkie, I think. But there are people who aren't. And the problem is, when it's time to vote for somebody or time to make a decision to make life better in the country, you're ill prepared to offer anything.
You should be able to give your vote to your wife like I do. I'm like, you know what you're doing.
Well, not to get into politics, Fritz, but I scream this all the time. I'm like, why are we telling everybody to vote like that? I don't think that's the right thing to do. No one knows. No one knows anything. Anyway, but even like I'm saying, like that, I used to be exposed to topics I never wanted to be, but that wasn't my choice. That had to be. That was the reality of the situation.
You had to wait through that to get to the next segment when they changed topics.
If I could have chosen back then, I would have chosen the stuff I liked. Right. And now
which would have made you dumber to the stuff you needed.
That's what people are doing now.
Plus,
and I don't even blame
find
them.
that radio guys, just because they have to have a volume of information every day to go to work to be prepared to talk about anything that pops up, radio guys are more attuned to current events and stuff than most people because it's a tool of their trade. You guys have to be able to talk about stuff and react to it. If some major occurrence happens, you have to be able to have an intelligent discussion about it on your show the next morning.
Yeah, I guess, I wonder what...
We do less of that now, though, because... Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, because...
When we were in, like, live, like, morning radio, we really felt that. Like, with this...
People wanted to hear a reaction. Now, they still do want to hear reactions with big global events.
Yeah, like the pandemic, obviously, which you address a little bit in the special.
But even, like, going back to... Everything's politicized, so it's like you can't really talk about anything without taking some sort of weirdo side, even though you're not taking a side, but by saying your opinion, people are like, oh, you think like that.
Yeah, like for instance, Fritz, if I talk about like Disney right now in Florida.
Oh, my.
Well, if I talk about it, though, instantly everybody's like, yeah, DeSantis, throw a line in the sand. I'm like, whoa. I'm talking about Disney, Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and that. No.
Now it's a political
It's a political thing. Yeah. So even if you just say the word, people are like, uh-oh, jobs are going up.
I'll tell you, that's so true. And in the clubs, although I don't talk about, I stay away from politics. In the clubs, if there's a comic, you don't even have to do a punchline. You can have Donald Trump or, Ron DeSantis in the setup, and you'll get, ooh, because they know where you're going. Yeah. There's no good end to a piece of material about that because it's such a volatile topic right now.
Yeah, there's no need to even go there.
There's a huge chasm between sides now.
Although I do like flirting with the danger or the motion of that because, they always tell you, there's no joke that lands harder than a joke at a funeral because everybody's in a certain mindset. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you can use certain trigger words to get people's emotional rise up and then swerve.
Yeah, swerve them.
But it's a hard tightrope to walk because...
And you can screw it up.
Even when someone hears certain words, immediately they have some emotion towards it that may not be.
Trigger word is a great way to describe it. It's like sends them into PTSD. That's exactly right.
And anyway, Fritz, we really appreciate you talking to us,
man. Again, the special, it's on Tubi. It's Unassisted Living. And you can check it out. Just type in Fritz. It'll pop right up. And you'll be able to download it, not download it, rather. You'll be able to stream it and watch it with limited commercials. And trust me when I tell you, it is a good watch.
And Fritz, how's the podcast going, Media Path?
It's going great. We look to guys like you who have so beautifully mined your market down there. And we can only hope to build up to the recognition you have down there.
Well, I don't know. Ours is waning.
You've got production value. At the end of your show, you think like 5 different producers.
Yeah, it sounds like NPR. You have a neon sign behind you.
Well, that's because we don't know anything. We need all these people to help us technologically. We're screwed.
Well, please give some love and some best wishes to Louise from us, please, because we love her as well.
And if I ever come back on this show, and I hope I get invited back, my mission is to get Sam to say something to me while she's
You will. Yeah. She's not even real. That's AI. We bought that.
Well,
I couldn't jump in with the 3 old men talking about.
Sam's just tired of hearing.
I was like, oh my God, we get it.
It's a defense here.
It was like being on the porch at a senior center, wasn't it?
Oh, exactly. Well, my friend, take care. And if you're ever in Orlando,
guys. You guys have been awesome, and you're so good at what you do, and I love being on with you. Thank you.
We appreciate it. And if you're ever in Orlando traveling or whatever, we'll get you in here, okay?
You got it.
All right, man. Cheers.
Thanks,
that is Fritz Coleman live from, he looks like he lives in a fancy LA house.
Yeah.
That guy's got the correct change, I think.
I'm hoping in my 70s I still have the want to do new things and to try new things.
You don't even have that now.
I was going to say, when are you going to start?
Well, no, he does. He does, Sam, but they're only with these adventures you want to do with your sons.
But they don't want to do it.
You know, Sam, I've been begging him to buy himself a one-wheel, a new one, for 2 years now, since the GT came out. It's an old product now.
No, I would,
do a little something for yourself, man.
I can't bring myself to it.
You're like Andrea. That's what Andrea does. Same stuff.
Because
we could line up all the different things. It just makes Andrea mad.
If they're like, I am not like him.
They're only like each other in certain instances.
No, only in certain.
Yeah.
Because my God, the organization.
You got a
factor there. That's
I like the way yours feels better, tighter.
Anyway, but you get to an age, and I like doing things that a 70-year-old normally wouldn't do, which is create a comedy special, film it. That's a lot of work. First, going curating.
You had to practice it for a year, so he practiced it for a full year during the pandemic at different clubs.
He's a comedian. That's what you do.
Yeah, it's crazy though. Not at 70, whatever.
Yeah, it seems like and maybe that's a testament to
what
his
do you think
brain
you'll be doing at 70?
Working really well still.
Oh.
I don't know, but
what do you think you'll be doing?
My pop-up was
I'll probably be dead.
You think? No, you're gonna be dead,
dude.
You think it'd be you and your hubby still be traveling and maybe casting and traveling?
I don't know if
Traveling's
we'll
hard.
be casting, but
Yeah, traveling's hard when you get older. Like I think that may like wane.
that's when
and
we
then
start our OnlyFans when we're in our 70s.
Not as much audience wants
Yeah.
that.
I mean,
Hey, well, he just told
Yeah.
me that the boomers need more content.
Yeah, but the
so-
boomers like looking at
Does it make me a
something-
bad person if I got excited for Samantha's 70s?
You'll be dead when I'm 70.
Yeah, you don't know that.
You know
Don't
that.
know that. I might be AI right now.
That's the thing about porn. Unless you have a fetish, I feel like as you grow older, like there is an age where you like your men and women to be where
And you keep 'em there
sexually
forever.
Yeah. Like I think it doesn't.
You keep them there forever?
Like I don't think when you're in your 70s, you're looking at
70.
75-year-old
You
women
always
nude.
go.
here.
No, but I do think I think you
You get older.
proportionally, there is an equation. You do like older because you like to put yourself in a realistic scenario.
But it stops at like MILFs.
Yeah,
like
like right around
People
40,
are into
31,
gilfs.
41, 42.
fetish though. I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't
not
think,
an everyday.
I don't
I
think
don't
it
Not
goes,
a daily driver. No.
You should have asked Fritz what he's into. You got to ask an old man what they're into.
Ooh, I don't know if I can
Yeah.
ask Fritz that.
Well, but he is also. I don't know if he's. A lot of
Comedian.
What if he's like, on my face? Like,
No.
number three.
Well, I think you'd say, out of respect to your wife, who may also be old, you're not going to be like, I like him, 35, a tighter body, younger. Like, it's an
Not as
insult.
many stretch marks.
It's an insult.
don't tell
to-
your wife.
to your partner. I know, but you're saying it out loud, so
Right.
it's gonna
She might
like
listen.
you don't want to say that. So you're just like, I like a older woman.
I'm not into gilfs. I've never seen
Well,
one.
not now, but are you going to be when you're
Well, there's
65,
only
70?
one gilf that I've seen on the shows
I see
who
it.
has long red hair and her
Oh, red?
face. Yeah, she has long like
I was
red
talking
brown.
about, I've seen the one where it's
Short?
she's got longer silver gray hair, and she's in a lot of videos where they stop time. And then she's the grandma, and then
I
the
haven't seen
mom's
these.
there. Yeah. And
I
then
think you got a new algorithm.
no.
Give me that.
And then he stops time, and then
He stops time for grandma.
yeah, then free
I'll
use.
never stop a time for
And then it's a
grandma.
free use scenario with
And
grandma.
so he stops time and just
With
starts.
grandma and the mom.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah, in the kitchen.
Or
It's there.
can they see while he stops time, or do they black out? That's always been
No,
the
they're
gray
frozen.
area. Yeah, but they're not truly frozen. Like, do they know what's going on? That's where it starts to get rapey and weird.
Well, in the fantasy, they don't know, but in
I like
real
it when
life,
I like it when they just. I like it. Okay, because there's
It
two.
is rapey.
Okay, let me just point this out. 'Cause
You
you
know,
don't
I'm glad you acknowledged
But
that.
let me point this out because like you don't know
But
this.
they don't seem to
I've thought
be
about
that
this a lot.
concerned after.
I've thought about this
They're
a lot,
frozen.
and I need to
No,
point out.
they wake up
hold
and they're
on,
like, "What happened?"
Hold on, I
Okay.
gotta tell you, there's two different versions.
Yeah.
Is it you stop time and time for everybody stops?
Yeah.
Or is it you've stopped time and the grandma and the mom are frozen but are still self-aware of what's
Oh, they're
happening,
conscious?
so
Oh,
that
yeah,
like you're
no,
doing
no.
it and they can still cry.
No, they
Okay.
they have no idea.
Bobby Lee?
It stopped. It stopped all time. But
Could
yeah.
be any comedian at this point, Sam. Like
true.
any, just name any
Oh
male
my God.
comedian.
Stop going on podcasts, you idiots.
Stop telling stories. Just go tell your dumb jokes you've written for years.
So anyway.
Yeah, go to Tubi, find Fritz. You want to do a couple voicemails before we get out of here?
Yeah.
All right. Let me find these. Fritz is a nice man.
He reminds me of my high school drama teacher. He looks just like him.
I like I like his delivery. Here's the problem. I don't think my mind's going to work that quickly at that age.
That
Like
could
when
be
I
the
see
case,
it him
though.
and the way he talks and his cadence, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to be doing that.
Your mind gets older too. Like that's when people are like, oh, the wisdom of elders. That's true because they have a lot of experiences, but their brain isn't working as fast. Like your
Right.
brain stops working as
The
fast
wisdom's
after
in
25.
there. It just takes forever and it's so annoying
Yeah,
to listen to.
Like your brain doesn't get better. It doesn't work as efficiently.
You got to do those brain
Yeah.
games.
But even then, it's like your muscles, everything deteriorates. You're going
Sure.
towards death.
Yeah, but you can slow it down a little bit if you actively try.
There's nothing
Yeah,
that my
yeah.
dad didn't believe in less than brain games. I'm like, play these brain games. Keep your brain sharp. Ugh.
Honestly, being a weatherman and then being on podcasts and stuff, it keeps your brain
That's
sharper.
probably what did it naturally.
If you have someone retire and then all of a sudden they're not talking to someone for long, like
die.
years and years,
Happened to
and,
my
like,
dad.
their brain deteriorates, their muscles deteriorate.
Yeah.
Like slowing down slows you down. Like,
Write that down. Oh my God. Slowing down slows you down.
It is not. You gotta ramp it up. You gotta fight toward. Like if you want,
you gotta fight for your right to slow down.
if you want quality of life, like you have to.
You gotta have life quality.
Never stop.
I like that you take every phrase you want to say and just reverse the letters. If you want a good quality of life, you got life quality, man. Yeah. Let's try this one.
Hey everyone, I'm listening to Friday Free Show, and Tom is obsessed with people doing these grand adventures, and I am as well. I do a lot of triathlons. I've done like full Ironmans, and recently my buddy and I rode our bikes across the Blue Ridge Parkway. So it's like 469 miles, like 50,000 feet elevation.
I can't take anybody serious that says across.
We did it over 5 days, so about 100 miles a day, thereabouts. And why did I do it? I don't know, mostly because it was there. I thought I would get some grand fulfillment from doing Ironman, and I didn't.
Yeah, a lot of people calling in to say they don't know why they do these grand adventures.
Yeah, they're just driven. They're
just
even
driven
know
to do it.
Yeah, they like, and that's the frustrating part of it. And almost what keeps me.
These
from
make
doing
it worse, right? These make it worse when I play this.
No, because I think the training for it. It's like okay,
is the training more beneficial than the actual?
Yes. There's a psychology behind you are happiest when you're planning to do something, right?
Planning a vacation. I think there was a study about that.
And then so it's like the looking forward to it and the planning of it is better than the actual vacation itself sometimes, right? Like especially lengthwise, the vacation's 5 days and you plan for it for a year. So you look forward to it and you thought like what it was going to be.
Dream.
You better built it up to this like spectacular thing, and then you do it. Still can be good, but it's probably never holds up to what you imagined it to be.
I'm bad about that because I'm an emotional person. So you're probably better with that because you're not using your emotions to activate your creativity to imagine what's going to be happening, right? So then you probably have naturally less disappointment on these type of trips just because of the way you're wired.
Yeah, I'm never because I always look at it like just doing it was enough, and that like it's all just about getting it done, and then you're just going on to the next thing. It's like you tick the box, you did this, and then you move on to the next thing. But the Ironman and the triathlons and the grand adventures, you're right. Most people that do these things like. They're kind of like, I like doing it. It's a thing. I have this adventure, but I just want to have the adventure to reference that I had it. I don't think it's going to change my life, but that's also what keeps me from doing the hard work it would take to do those adventures. Although the hard work is what I'm looking for.
Right.
And it doesn't have anything to do with the Ironman.
Would it surprise you that I understood all of that? Like, I see what he's saying, but... I thought about this with the Ironman too because there was like 3 days where I started talking myself into why not?
I'm gonna try to do an Ironman.
A Tryon man.
And then
a Tryon man.
What if I ever got to the position where I could qualify for the Kona Ironman, then take my whole family back. And then my sons can watch me finish.
We done this. Boo, done it. See you, volcano.
Did that impressive the second time?
Yeah, my God. These kids have been to Kona every year of their lives. And then how many Hawaii trips do you need?
All I could think of is
those old Hawaii grit trips.
Make them run the Ironman.
is I'm running with the finish line. I do my pants, and then I look over.
So majestic.
On their other phones.
And they're on their
phones. Just
like
Daddy.
They're scrolling TikTok.
Just like you did to Max. And Max is like, how does that feel?
Oh my God, I'm doo-doo my pants. My body.
But he's videoing you, and then he's putting it on TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
It's all a circle of life.
Yeah, it's all like too much work. All right.
Tom and Dan and Sam. Hey guys, it's Kenny. Hey, so I know that Dan's not really the biggest fan of Wawa, but Sam and Tom kind of are. Yes. But I do have a question. Why is it every time you go to a Wawa, there's always someone sleeping at those like picnic table things. And I don't mean like just homeless people. Like every time I come here, it's always a different type of person who's just slumped over, head down on the table in the outside chairs.
Right.
Like sometimes it's a homeless person, sometimes it's like a college kid,
Construction.
sometimes it's like, you know, a punk skater, sometimes it's just like a middle-aged mom who looks exhausted. Like
Because
does
we're
Wawa
exhausted, Kenny.
welcome people just to take naps? Do they not like talk to them and let them know, hey, you can't sleep here?
There's
It's
no
a
sign that
Wawa.
says I can't sleep
Anyway,
there.
just thought that was weird. Every single Wawa I go to is always unique and packed with
Yeah,
sleepy
because
people.
Wawas
All
are
right, love you
gross.
guys. Bye.
There, I'll say it. Wawas are disgusting.
You know,
If you're going to have a table and chairs, people are going to sit there.
you know, it's
That's
funny.
true.
I sat in those table and chairs with my
He's
family.
one of them. See,
And
Kenny?
Did you fall asleep?
Well, no, we.
I don't like bolted in chairs because as a small man, they don't fit.
There's a Wawa on the way to the park, and then we'll stop there to get ice cream or like some
Yeah.
sandwiches for the park
Pack
or
of
whatever.
smokes.
Or on the way back the other day, we stopped
Get
there
some Kodiak.
and we ate sandwiches on one of those benches, right? And then we had bikes with us. I had my one wheel. And we're sitting on the bench, and I'm looking around, and I'm looking at the other people sitting on those
Yeah.
benches.
They're gross.
And I was like, what? Because they're not eating a sandwich or not necessarily
Some
doing
of them
anything.
look like they've gubbed there to die. Like some of them look like
It's like
they.
their lunch break
Yeah,
or
They're
whatever.
just-
No, some of the construction
No.
workers up on this Colonial one look like they made
It's-
the pilgrimage like a dying. Yeah, a dying dog will go out in the
It's-
woods and dig a hole and put itself in the hole and
Because
die.
I'd accept, okay, this is your lunch break for like you're a yard guy and you're taking your lunch break, or
Yeah.
like like
Gotta go
us.
up there and get a beer.
We rode our bikes, like there's bikes next to us. We're stopping for lunch. You know what I'm saying? But the people around were
Yeah.
just sitting there. I don't know why. Why were
Because
they
there's
sitting there?
chairs.
Waiting
What
to
do you
die.
mean?
But I was like, what are you doing? Are you taking a break,
It's
or
the Hoagie Fest graveyard.
are
buddy.
you? Do you like?
Maybe they took a walk up to Wawa, ate their sub, and now they're just sitting there relaxing.
Letting their
No,
food
no.
settle.
No.
Do you let your food settle?
No.
Gotta
They're
let
just
my food settle.
they're just hanging out. I don't know for what. They're
It's
just
called loitering.
they're just loitering.
Yeah.
There's this one that was
it's-
packed, and Kenny is
Illegal
right.
loitering.
You'll have homeless guy, you'll have old black guy with bright yellow construction vest on, sitting there. You'll have another guy fixing his scooter, another like a lady like passed out, and then a homeless person like a woman, and then a shopping cart, and it's just too much. Get them all out of there. Tear those things out. You got to tear them all out. You can't have any Wawa. You didn't know that
Chairs.
Florida has so many free radical people just running around. You can't bolt the chairs in there. They become homes for people.
You know, the biggest mistake 7-Eleven Corporation ever did was create a brick stoop
lip.
where
lip.
people can sit on.
Cigarette lip.
And
That's what you leave your cigarette on when you go in to buy a beer. You come back out, and hopefully nobody's nicked it.
I'm
I'm going to start smoking cigarettes again. At 47. When I turn 47 this year.
For your birthday. Light
You know
one
what?
up.
And June 10th at Hourglass.
Oh.
I am smoking cigarettes with everyone. No, I'm not going to do that. Can't even kid about that.
Well, there is a
That's
time
fine.
where you could start smoking again.
If I did, I
and-
would spray puke everywhere.
No, you probably like
no,
it.
I don't think I could do it, man.
Yeah, you can
it's
do it. You can do
One
it.
marble smooth.
One more time. One more time.
I can smoke a cigarette. Although,
Did
now
we
when
all
I
smoke? You didn't smoke, did you?
yeah.
You did?
When I inhale
You
anything,
did?
Yeah, for a small amount of time.
Did I know you as a smoker?
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
on the cruise. I was smoking with Samantha on
Yeah.
the cruise one
He
time.
bummed cigarettes for me.
Yeah. And
Yeah, my memory's trash. It's just rotten.
Was that like
How do I
5
not
years
know
ago?
You don't
and
look
we-
like a smoker
It's been
traditionally.
a long
We
time.
smoke every once in a while. Usually,
Did
when
your
you're
husband
drinking,
smoke
right?
cigarettes?
He smoked. He got me smoking. He was smoking when he was like
Cannot
14.
See that? Oh my stars!
Yeah, in the '90s, everybody smoked.
His mom, for like his 15th birthday, bought him one of those metal cigarette cases for his 15th birthday.
Wow.
Classy, Florida.
Does he still have it? I hope.
I've never seen anybody actually use
He
one
did.
of those. Did he?
All the time.
I always wanted one.
Can you fit
it
20?
was
in
a
there?
fancy one. Yeah.
yeah.
You could fit a whole pack.
Yeah, they make some good ones now because everything is made now.
There was a while in my life though that every pack of cigarettes I'd buy, I never bought a carton.
You a Zippo, buddy?
Zippo?
You
No,
ever
no.
have a Zippo?
No, I'd lose it. I lose
Like
everything.
I became, and this is embarrassing, but I became the Zippo boy. I carried the Zippo, and then I would collect Zippos, and then I started dabbling with the hand tricks. where I could flip it. Yeah, it's douchey. And I could light it off my Jinkos or my pants, you know? Yeah, I could do the Zippo trick.
You don't lose your things, so I could never have anything that it was just free reign in my pocket.
The king of the Zippos was Ganon Magic Man. Like, I knew how to do, like, the flip, and then I knew how to do the one where you go down, just the simple one where you go down off your pants and back up and it's lit. Like the...
Oh, yeah.
And it was kind of impressive.
That's the greaser.
Yeah, well, I'd be over at, like, UCF, you know, there'd be a girl, and I'd be ready to smoke. And then a lot of girls smoked. And it was the instant icebreaker. You go, and you'd light their cigarette. They fucking, look, can I curse?
No.
I can't.
No.
Damn it.
We should have signed off 4 minutes ago.
I'm sorry, I got into it.
All right, bye-bye.
They loved it. Yeah, I was getting into doing another segment. Sorry about that.
That's honestly all we need to do.
Do you mean an intro?
Because tomorrow we could
Thursday,
do
1 and 2.
Friday and one segment for Monday, and then we'll finish off the last segment for Monday. We don't even really need to do a full 2-hour show for Memorial Day, but I guess we will.
For ACT, you mean?
Yeah, but we will, because tomorrow we'll have time to do 3 segments after lunch. And
if we need to, Friday morning we can.
And then
do
a
something.
warm-up Friday.
Fritz was very nice. All right, guys. Well, I guess we're done, right? Have a great rest of your day, guys. We're going to go do intros now.